Welcome to Health News and Views, a podcast dedicated to bringing some clarity to the health disparities in the Black and Brown communities. If you believe there's a connection between food, sickness, and health, then you're in the right place. Let's begin the process of unraveling the truth. And now your host, Lynn Pete.
Greetings and welcome to Health News and Views, Food, the Final Frontier. I am your host, Lynn Pete. Well, in this episode, we will continue to explore the correlation between food, sickness, and health. But bear with me for a moment as I reminisce about our first full year plus a few months of podcasts. And we have reviewed Are You Too Sweet? All about our sugar intake, no need to be so salty, our need to cut back on some of the salty foods that we're eating, high fructose corn syrup, artificial sweeteners, sleep, and the necessity restorative sleep, diseases, knowing our numbers, and more. Well, as I began to forecast for the next 12 months, I decided to begin the new year with a prediction and resolution that promises to give us more in 2024. Well, here's a prediction. My prediction is this, is that the food industry will realize that we are smarter than we look. That people will rise up and demand food with fewer additives, enhancers, and chemicals. And the resolution? Well, the resolution is you, my dear, and my friends out there, that you'll become the truth seekers who will look out for any suspicious, nefarious, or even harmful ingredients of what I am now calling a warning label, not an ingredient list, on the packaging of the products that we bring into our homes. Well, beginning in 2024, we will have a guide to help you to determine if what you're eating is concerning, problematic, or okay. And the guide will include foods commonly ingested like water, snacks, and fruits, and juices, and sodas. And the reasoning behind the guide is to aid in determining what is causing the chain of events that are taking a toll in the Black and Brown communities. Other communities may have similar maladies, and if that is so, then join us. The information is for you too. But first, our disclaimer. The information provided on this podcast or any of our published documents is for informational purposes only. Food, the Final Frontier, and our partner Health News and Views. We do not attempt to treat, diagnose, or cure any condition. Always consult with your physician before making any significant diet, lifestyle, or prescription drug changes. And by the way, if you have any suggestions or comments, please leave them to eatingtostaywell@gmail.com. That's all one word, eatingtostaywell@gmail.com. But now, did you know that food replaced tobacco in 2018 as the leading cause of chronic disease in the United States? I believe that's saying something. Food replaced tobacco as the leading cause of chronic disease in the United States? How is that possible, you may ask? Well, there's several factors at hand that may contribute to this phenomena. And the plan is to review the ones that we can get documented proof on and prepare that to present to you. Here are some food facts, though. Have you looked at the number of ingredients that are used to produce 72% of the food we eat? That's on any packaging. It could be the ramen noodles, or it could be peanut butter, or it could be rice-a-roni. It could be any of these other foods that we eat. A number of foods that we eat. And you may want to review the list for the next week for the quiz. I'm just kidding. All right, there might be a quiz. But here are some types of food additives. And each of these additives has a specific reason why they put it in the food. And I'm going to give you some of the terms that they use, the chemical, I'm sorry, not the chemical, but I'll give you some of the terms that they use so that you can be able to identify what they are. Have you heard of anti-caking agents? And these stop ingredients from becoming lumpy. Antioxidants prevent our food from oxidizing or going rancid. Well, we talked about artificial sweeteners and food colorings and flavors, but did you know about emulsifiers that stop fats from clotting together, stabilizers, and they're firming agents to maintain even food dispersion, flour treatment, improving the baking quality, glazing agents, gelling agents, propellants, raising... Okay, you kind of get the picture? It's too much for you to try to see without being able to see it, but there are a number of food additives that have been put into food since around about 1971. Now, if you're a seasoned citizen like me, you may have noticed a strange phenomena as it relates to health, diet, and chronic diseases. And if you're new to this podcast or you've been on Earth less than 30 years, boy, do we have a lot to tell you to bring you up to speed. Here's what I'm noticing. Younger women and some of our young men in our families have grown exponentially and seem to be addicted to certain foods and then behaviors after eating these foods. And when I say grown, I mean they are much larger than previous generations at the same age. Many of our babies, toddlers, and school-aged children seem to have food allergies and chronic conditions like asthma, constipation, eating, and behavioral disorders. And citing from the National Survey of Children's Health and the Centers of Disease Control, they said more than 40% of our school-aged children and adolescents have at least one chronic illness. Well, the CDC defines chronic as conditions that last 1 or more years and require ongoing medical attention or limit activities to daily living. Okay, we're going to cover more on that topic. What about people in their 40s and 50s? They seem to have chronic diseases that were once thought of to be age-related to seniors. Conditions like heart disease, stroke, type 2 diabetes, weight, obesity, issues that are more common in later years, not you're generally in the 40s or 50s. And according to Ohio State University, the declining health of Gen X and Gen Y, the national study shows alarming trends includes physical and mental health and behavioral issues. Researchers have found that compared to previous generations, members of Generation X and Y showed poorer health, physical health, higher levels of unhealthy behavior, alcohol use, smoking, and more depression and anxiety. And they suggest the likelihood of higher level of diseases and more deaths in younger generations. The declining health trends are said that in recent generations, it's shocking. And it suggests that there may have challenging health prospects in the United States in the coming years. What about for seniors? Well, you listened to the podcast for a couple of months ago. For seniors who are 60 plus, they're experiencing dementia at rates never recorded. It's estimated 6.7 million Americans aged 65 or older are living with Alzheimer's in 2023. 73% are aged 75 and older. Is there a definitive reason for this increase? Well, no, said the National Institute of Health, but Alzheimer's is currently ranked at the 7th leading cause of death in the United States and is the most common cause of dementia among older adults. That's according to the National Institute of Health. They have no answers. Why is that? Well, the elephant in the room, to me, could be the dietary and lifestyle choices afforded the public, compliments of a food industry that has placed shelf life and bliss points above your health. Well, let's stay tuned for more health news and views, Food, the Final Frontier. There's so much more to tell you. We'll do it in smaller bites so we all have a better understanding of what to do next. Make it a powerful day. And remember, knowledge comes from learning, but wisdom, that comes from living. And that's according to Anthony Douglas Williams. Thanks again for stopping by. So much more to talk about on Health News and Views, Food, the Final Frontier. Do come back.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of Health News and Views. Join us again next time as we continue to explore the correlation between food, sickness, and health. If you like the show, please subscribe and leave a review for Lynn. She would love to hear your comments. Thanks again for listening, and remember, food is the final frontier.